Hi, I'm Rachel, and today we're going to talk a little bit about branding and how do you use copy or whatever that you've written as content for your own social media or for your website or blog to use as ways to brand yourself. And before we go into this, make sure that you want to listen to the end so that I can explain everything to do with copy and branding to you. And let's start by showing why is a brand important. So for some people, I think in the past, they used to say that, you just have to write like direct response copy. You just have to keep selling, selling, selling people. And maybe that used to work in the past, but nowadays it doesn't work as well because people are jaded. They're like, kind of skeptical about different things. Even I'm personally kind of skeptical when people start to make huge claims, unless I've seen like the actual, results that they get and things like that. But essentially, that's why you need to build a really strong branding game as well, because that helps to overcome, all the skepticality and also helps to, helps people like your customers to identify you, your products, your services, and what you stand for, basically. So having a group, like having a brand, like a brand that tells people what you do, why you're doing it, it helps your company and your business with your growth, your sales, and your customers because you want people to love your products and services and love you as the person behind all the products and services before they buy from you. So you don't want to be like this neutral person where you try to be liked by everyone because that doesn't work. You want people to love you enough to buy from you, and those who don't, it's fine. And the other one of the positives would be it helps people become more aware of you. So obviously, when they love your brand, they love you, then they're going to share with their friends. You might get more referrals, and then, obviously more success. And that's the power of brands. And before we go into, your own branding, let's just go into the branding for the bigger companies that you probably already know. And so to dive in, branding is like the perceived image of you and the product or service that you sell. Mainly it's you because people usually buy from people and they buy from the person behind their products and services. So if you want to sell high ticket, if you want to have like, amazing profit margins and things like that, if you don't want to be like a Amazon drop shipper where you don't have to show your face and things like that, then you've got to have branding. And even Amazon shops also have branding because, for example, they could have like phone cases. Yeah, I personally buy my phone case from a brand called Moose, and I believe they've done a really great job by branding themselves as indestructible. Because when you see all their drop tests and you see all the crazy stunts that they do with the phone covers, then you'll be like, oh, okay, so this brand, what they want to portray to you is durability. It is indestructible. It is like a brand that you can rely on, you can trust, that's going to keep your phone safe. And that's the reason why I buy from them. Moving forward, you also have a little activity that I thought that we could do together, which is brand identity. So this idea is to help you be aware of the brands around you, which you already probably know, and how you can use the same principles in your branding. So the first one, as you can see here, is McDonald's. They mainly use like a red and yellow with the M. And then the next one you can see is Apple, and with their MacBook computers, with their iPhones. And you can see BMW as the third picture, luxury car brand. It's not like super, super high end like the Bentleys. And what was the other brand again? Yeah, but it's still pretty high end. Down the bottom with this ice cream, I used a Magnum ice cream picture, and it probably doesn't show quite clearly that it's Magnum, but Magnum portrays a very sexy kind of image or seductive kind of image in their advertisements and in the copy. And then we've got Samsung down the middle, which is Apple's pretty much huge competitor. Both of them focus on slightly different things. From what my friend told me, Samsung, like she loves Samsung because of the great cameras, and I'm personally more of a fan of Apple because of its simplicity and how everything just syncs together. Anyway, moving forward, there's also a Sony camera there, and I personally use Sony because I'm familiar with the brand. But the idea there is people buy from familiar brands, and these brands all have a kind of image that they are trying to portray to you, that they're trying to, let you feel certain like feelings and portray themselves as, let's say, the most reliable one, the one which has the most innovations, the one which is more creative, things like that. And it's mainly got to do with partially the colors and the presentation. So all these colors represent different kinds of feelings that they evoke. You can't, like, white's just white, so I can't really put white there. If not, you can't see any. But essentially, red, you can think of like, traffic lights. Red just means stop. And it could also mean like urgency, trying to, like, on a sales page, saying that sales is ending soon or things like that. Using red is really useful. And it also helps to whet the appetite as well, which is why muckers use a mixture of like red and yellow because it's really warm. The kind of feeling that they want to evoke is the warmth. It's a little bit like telling people, hey, we've got great food here and you can get comfort food and you can, feel our love for you and things like that and eat more of us, It's also physically stimulating. There's like excitement, there's like passion in there and red. So that's kind of what they want to convey. And like, for example, I remember there was this TEDx talk that I saw of one of my mentors, which is Dan Locke, and he wore like this red suit. So it's really striking when you see it. And it's like also going to help you, say, hey, pay attention to me, so things like that. And yellow and orange, as you can see, it's pretty optimistic. It could also mean caution, because, yellow means I'm going to go to red soon kind of thing in the traffic lights. Green is more of like health, tranquility, a bit of nature, like those environmental associations. And let's say that you want to show that you're very environmentally friendly or you're part of like some recycling community or something like that, then green will probably be the color that you'll be wanting to use because it's like the forest, the trees. And blue is a little bit more of like waters. You want to imagine like calm waters, not like the raging storms, but it has a more of like a peace, a reliability, a kind of security kind of feeling. It also shows, it also like stimulates sort of productivity and trust in the brand because blue is pretty calming. And I believe that's the reason why some entrepreneurs like to use blue in terms of when writing their emails and things like that. They can put something that is special to them, only to them. And then next we've got purple. Purple, as a pharmacist in the past, it used to mean like special because somehow only the hospitals can use it, especially in Australia. But essentially, it has a little bit of tinge of royalty. It has some wisdom, a bit of problem solving and creativity. It's a pretty special color, and some people do use it to, express that they're, I guess, one of a kind in a sense as well. And black, which I personally love a lot, shows a more of like an authority, the kind of power, the confidence, the intelligence, and the strength, because it just exudes this kind of aura around you. And then we've got gray, which is a little bit less commonly used because it might portray a bit of like old age and things like that. But for some, at least in Apple's case, it has more of like a practicality function. It also has a bit of elegance and maturity in the kind of color coding that they choose. So something really simple and something that you can just um, look at and won't get tired of seeing it and things like yeah. And so finally we've got white, which is more of like cleanliness, purity, safety, and neutrality. So the comparison between the angel and the devil, and the angel is usually the white person, and it just shows how pure the brand is. So if it's like, for example, a beauty brand, you can show that, hey, you don't use any chemicals. All these different things could be used in a way to use white, to use branding, that you are having like a pure product, and that product is going to be much more better for, let's say, people's skin. It's going to be suitable for people with sensitive skin because it doesn't have any harmful chemicals. It's really pure. And then once you got your colors right, like once you've chosen the colors that really represent you, and these kind of colors, just think of them as not just colors but also feelings that you want to invoke in others, feelings that you want others to feel when they see you, when they perceive you. You want to connect with the people whom will love your products. And you might get haters in the process, but that's fine, because there can hate and love is just one little line in between. And honestly, it's better to get people who hate you and love you, like people who hate you and people who love you, rather than everyone just mediocrely kind of half-ass liking you. Because obviously people who aren't completely convinced about your product and service wouldn't buy it anyway. And so the goal here is to get you more sales, and is to get you a higher return on your investment in ads and things like that. And that's why we want to focus on people loving you and your products and services. All right. So going to the 5 types of content commonly used in branding, especially if you're a high ticket coach or consultant, this would be quite useful. Number 1 would be educational content relevant to your expertise. Let's say that you're an expert in, Facebook ads, then you could provide educational content with regards to Facebook ads. Why are Facebook ads important? What exactly are Facebook ads? How do you do them? You don't have to get down into the nitty-gritty details, because you don't want people to try them and then fail and then think that you suck. You just want to get into enough detail to whet their appetite and then have them coming after you. And let's say that you're like a health coach, and then you help people losing weight through, let me think, intermittent fasting. So you can talk to them about, what is intermittent fasting, and why is intermittent fasting important, and, why is it useful? How can it help you to lose weight? And also maybe provide like really general information about intermittent fasting, because obviously everyone is tailored. Like you want to have people feel like your plan is custom tailored for them. It's just made for them. And so you can give like all the general stuff. You can give a bit of the how as well. That's no problems with that. People keep thinking that you can't give the how. That's wrong. You can give the how, just don't give too much until it overwhelms people. All right. And after you give this educational content, and people start to trust you more, because obviously you know what you're doing. When you're able to give this kind of content and you're able to teach others, then you definitely will know what you're doing. All right. So that's the first one. The second one is educational content related to life, because nobody just wants to hear you talking about your business. Like there's really, I don't know, how boring would you be if you just talk about the single thing all the single time, like all the time, sorry. It's as if like you've got no life outside your business, and that's really not what people want to work with. So you can talk about how you went to a networking event. You can talk about, what you learn in terms of life lessons. Let's say that you were a perfectionist before and then now you weren't, because you realized that the perfectionism was holding you back. Or maybe in the past you didn't believe in yourself, but you realized that through believing in yourself, that's how you can achieve the success, and you did achieve the success. So educational content related to life and your life experiences, what you experienced, from like your own stories where you were, like a zero to hero story even. So that's really useful to get people learning more about your life, your values, and if they relate to your values. Especially, I know some entrepreneurs are using religion as part of their content. Then people relate to that, and then people want to talk to you about that. So the third one is objection handling content, because of all the skepticism and all the like doubt that people have, that they think that, oh, this is impossible, that is impossible. And the point of this objection handling content is to tell them, hey, you're not thinking it the right way. It is possible. You just have to think in another way. So you're trying to help them get over their own objections, whether that's like, whether should I start now, whether should I start later, whether I've got enough money to pay for it, and whatever, things like that. And so it could be like they've been burned in the past. How do you handle this kind of objection? And you want to handle these objections in your content so that when people look at that, they feel two things. Number one, you believe in them that they can succeed. Number two, they start believing in themselves that they can succeed through your help. Okay? And so the fourth one is aspirational content, because you want to inspire others. Like a lot of people, I think in this day and age, it's kind of scary because the world is changing really fast. And if you don't adapt, you kind of just get sucked into a hole where you probably don't like your life as well. And so you want to inspire people to achieve their dreams, to do what they can to get out of their messy life or the life that they don't like. And so aspirational content can be something like your own life story as well, where it could be because of a recent death of your family that you realize how precious life is, and through that, how do you want to inspire others? How do you want to give a lesson to others to help them understand that, hey, life is short and you don't want to waste time on doing the things that you don't even like doing? Like you just want to find something you love doing that also contributes to the world, in terms of what they need, and you can through that process also earn money for yourself to free yourself from the life that you don't like. For example, a lack of freedom because you're stuck at a job, or for example, maybe you used to be like a really overweight person, and you probably suffered from shortness of breath and feeling wheezy and things like that, and you decided, hey, it's time to change. And you started cutting your sugar, you started like exercising, you started putting in like routines to get yourself more sleep, and then you slowly and gradually slim down. And that's really inspiring. That's like going to help others feel and believe that they could actually do it too, because you've done it and you're just a normal human. Like everyone's just human. There's no one above all of us in terms of humanity, right? And finally, you want the last piece of content to be social proof, which is like client testimonials. Could be written, could be video, and could be an audio. Doesn't really matter. Ideally, video is great, because you can just show it off. But you can also have like written ones, such as posts or comments. And what my mentors always taught me to do is to just screenshot what they wrote rather than try to beautify it, because the most raw form is actually the form that people believe in the most nowadays. when you try to add flowery words, you try to beautify this shit, it becomes more fake, less like people, like less likely that people will write these kind of things, and therefore less likely to be trusted in terms of a client testimonial. And you can also have client testimonials in, like, let's say your webinar, or what was that again? Webinar, masterclass, where you can even invite people like your old clients onto the same masterclass or webinar, and then have them like interview them straight directly. And that's also a great way to social proof and also brand yourself right in front of a huge audience that you're talking to. All right, finally, I'm going to deep dive into all these 5 posts a little bit later on, but if you find this to be valuable, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And as usual, my social media links are up the top right-hand corner of the page. Make sure to click on them if you want my offer guide on self-starting offers, and check out my other socials. All right, have an amazing day.